Welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here as we explore a vision for the near future. Today, we are looking ahead to the year 2050 and the emergence of what we call the post-labor paradigm. We are currently standing at a pivotal crossroads in human history. This presentation focuses on how we navigate the monumental transition from a traditional wage-based economy to a society characterized by hyper-automated abundance. As shown by the symbolic connection between human touch and mechanical precision, our future depends on how we integrate these two worlds. We will examine the socioeconomic shifts required when human labor is no longer the primary driver of value, and how we can strategically prepare for a world where technology provides for our needs, allowing us to redefine the meaning of work and the structure of our global society. As we approach 2050, the social contract built upon wage labor is projected to become obsolete. We are entering a period defined as the Great Transition, where society faces a critical choice between widening inequality and structured hyperabundance. This transition unfolds through four distinct stages. It begins with the catalyst, where the integration of AI and robotics decouples production from human labor, fundamentally changing how value is created. This shift inevitably leads to friction, as the inability to secure survival through traditional wages creates systemic instability. To resolve this, we must move toward the solution, the implementation of Universal Basic Assets, or UBA, to replace the concept of universal basic income. This path leads us to the ultimate future state, where automation enables a demonetized model of survival, ensuring that basic needs are met independently of the monetary system. The scale of displacement shown here illustrates that we are not merely in a recession, but rather experiencing a permanent structural shift in how value is generated. As the graph indicates, between the years 2020 and 2050, we expect to see a massive divergence. Line A represents the exponential growth of AI capability, which stands in direct contrast to line B, the decline of traditional employment. The statistics provided here highlight the magnitude of this change. According to Bertelsmann Stiftung, global unemployment is projected to reach 24%. The slide before us illustrates a fundamental transformation in the global labor market, the shift from jobs as fixed roles to tasks as discrete components of work. On the left, we observe the decline of routine cognitive and physical tasks. Activities such as drafting, paralegal research, and machine operation are increasingly being absorbed by artificial intelligence, which handles repetitive processes with high efficiency. Conversely, on the right, we see the emergence of the empathy economy. This transition gives rise to new, human-centric roles, such as empathy interventionists who interpret human complexity for machine logic, as well as specialized positions like metaverse janitors and algorithm insurers. As routine labor is automated, the nature of human contribution undergoes a profound evolution. According to research from the Bertelsmann Stiftung, we are moving toward a future where work shifts from a necessity for survival to a vehicle for self-actualization. This slide examines what is termed the human problem in a market economy, specifically focusing on the feedback loop created by rapid technological advancement. We begin with a significant increase in production, represented here by automation and robotics. While this increases efficiency and output, it simultaneously leads to a scenario where traditional wages begin to disappear as human labor is displaced. This displacement results in a widening income gap. The central paradox illustrated here is that without wages, the primary mechanism for distributing the abundance created by increased production fails. Consequently, we see a collapse in demand. If the workforce no longer earns an income, they cannot sustain the market by purchasing the goods being produced. According to research from Bertelsmann Stiftung, the ultimate threat posed by this cycle is a level of inequality so profound that it risks total political instability or even civil war scenarios. The challenge highlighted is the need to rethink how society distributes abundance when the traditional link between labor and income is severed. As we consider the framework of architectural optimism, our first response to evolving economic landscapes is Universal Basic Income, or UBI. By definition, UBI is a regular, unconditional cash payment provided to every citizen. The underlying logic shifts our perspective from the traditional paycheck model to a dividend model, where everyone shares in collective prosperity. The primary goal is to provide a stable floor, much like the safety net pictured here, that empowers individuals to engage in risk-taking and entrepreneurship. This concept is grounded in established precedent, most notably the Alaska Permanent Fund, which has been distributing resource revenue to its citizens since 1982. Let's examine a critical economic challenge known as the rent capture trap, which presents a significant hurdle for policies like universal basic income. In markets with highly inelastic supply, most notably housing, suppliers tend to absorb additional cash transfers by simply raising their prices. As illustrated on the graph, while UBI payments may increase over time, housing and essential costs rise at a corresponding rate. This results in the gap, or real purchasing power, remaining completely unchanged despite the higher nominal income. This phenomenon is expressed through the formula. Real purchasing power equals 1 minus alpha multiplied by U, where alpha represents the capture coefficient. In the housing sector, alpha often approaches 1, meaning that nearly the entire benefit of the cash transfer is captured by the market, effectively neutralizing the intended economic boost for the recipient. Moving beyond cash, we must consider the framework of Universal Basic Assets, or UBA. To ensure that universal basic income is truly effective, our primary objective must be to demonetize survival. As illustrated, social stability is built upon 3 fundamental pillars: housing, healthcare, and education. When these essential resources are provided publicly, we prevent rent capture, ensuring that alpha remains at 0. While UBI primarily increases demand, carrying an inherent inflationary risk, UBA serves as an anti-inflationary mechanism by directly increasing supply and capacity. By securing these foundational assets, we create a more resilient and equitable economic structure. Decoupling residents from speculation represents a fundamental shift towards sustainable, long-term housing affordability. This objective is achieved through the community land trust model, which effectively separates the value of the land from the value of the building structure. As illustrated, the land is held by a community-based nonprofit, while the resident owns the physical home, a relationship secured by a 99-year renewable ground lease. By removing the land from the speculative market, this model moves the paradigm from paying to live to living to thrive, transforming housing from a speculative asset into a stable foundation for community growth. Evidence from the Jain Family Institute confirms the efficacy of this approach, noting that CLT residents experience significantly higher housing stability compared to traditional market renters. The transition toward hyperabundance is driven by 3 key technological pillars currently reshaping the construction industry. First, 3D printing has reached a stage where homes can be constructed in under 24 hours for less than $50,000. Second, robotic masonry is dramatically increasing output. The Hadrian X robot, for instance, can lay 1,000 bricks per hour. Finally, generative AI design is optimizing resource use, reducing material waste by 30%. Collectively, these advancements represent a fundamental shift in our ability to build efficiently, affordably, and sustainably. The paradigm of the new architecture is shifting toward a model defined by modularity and mobility. At the core of this movement is prefabricated modularity, which utilizes off-site manufacturing to drastically reduce construction timelines and enhance overall energy efficiency. This concept is visualized here through high-tech, plug-and-play units that seamlessly integrate essential utilities like water, power, data, and waste management. Such designs are tailored specifically for the knowledge nomad, providing flexible housing solutions for an increasingly mobile global workforce. Furthermore, the emergence of mobile microfactories is revolutionizing the industry by allowing for sophisticated on-site assembly, transforming traditional construction sites into agile production hubs. Together, these elements represent a significant evolution in how we design, build, and occupy our living spaces. As we look at the evolution of credit assessment, we are witnessing a fundamental shift from traditional FICO scores to a more dynamic cash flow model. For decades, the old model relied heavily on W-2 income and stable employment histories. However, this approach is becoming increasingly obsolete in our current gig and post-labor economy, where traditional employment structures no longer define the majority of the workforce. In contrast, the new AI-augmented model focuses on real-time cash flow. By leveraging artificial intelligence to track universal basic income inflows and utility outflows, lenders can gain a more accurate and holistic view of an individual's financial health. Crucially, UBI provides a guaranteed, stable income stream that AI systems can verify in seconds, allowing for more inclusive and efficient credit decisions in a rapidly changing economic landscape. This slide illustrates a profound transformation in how we approach human needs, education, and career development. At the core of this psychological shift is a reimagined hierarchy. As shown in the pyramid, foundational physiological and safety needs are represented as being provided by UBA, creating a stable base that allows individuals to focus more directly on the pinnacle of the hierarchy, self-actualization. In this new landscape, the traditional model of education, defined by fixed degrees, is giving way to self-managed education portfolios. This change reflects a more fluid and continuous approach to learning. Furthermore, the currency of the future is no longer just technical knowledge, but rather meta-skills. Resilience, self-organization, and empathy have become essential competencies for navigating an increasingly complex world. This framework, sourced from the Bertelsmann Stiftung, suggests that as our basic needs are met through systemic support, the primary human pursuit becomes the cultivation of meaning and a mastery of the skills required to navigate a rapidly changing environment. The Digital Deal represents a proposed new social contract designed to harmonize technological inevitability with economic security. As we transition toward what some call a sufficiency economy, this framework provides a roadmap to ensure that the gains from digital transformation lead to societal prosperity rather than a dystopian outcome. The cycle begins with automation, where AI and advanced robotics drive unprecedented levels of productivity. This leads to abundance, the generation of resources and wealth at a scale that can satisfy the needs of the entire population. To ensure these benefits are distributed equitably, the model proposes universal basic assets. This concept extends beyond the idea of a basic income, advocating for shared access to fundamental resources such as housing, healthcare, and digital infrastructure. Ultimately, this foundation enables human flourishing. By decoupling basic survival from traditional labor, individuals are empowered to pursue creative, intellectual, and community-focused endeavors. According to research from the LSE Business Review, establishing this virtuous cycle is essential for maintaining social cohesion and individual well-being in an increasingly automated world. Shaping the paradigm requires a fundamental shift in how we approach the horizon. As the Bertelsmann Stiftung Insight Lee reminds us, while we cannot know exactly what the future holds, we have the distinct power to shape it. This journey toward 2050 is not about holding on to the past or protecting outdated job models. Rather, it is about a forward-looking commitment to constructing the new assets that will define the future. We are moving beyond preservation and into a period of active creation, setting a new course for what is possible.